Hi everybody, welcome to another Divorce Workshop Insight Talk. Today we have Anastasia coming on. We're going to talk all about divorce and the holidays. It's going to be a good talk. Any stuff about the holidays we can talk about with regards to divorce. We are going to be here to talk about that, answer any of your questions. So I'm just going to invite the Just Separated workbook is available worldwide. And in January, we have a special 25% off the whole month of January, which is the divorce month, as most of us know. So grab it on Amazon. Good morning.
Hi. We've had our challenges this morning for some
Yeah.
reason. Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
So today I love this topic that you brought up, like just a fireside chat about holidays and divorce. And I told everybody at the beginning that if anybody has any questions or anything about divorce and the holidays, we're here to ask. Oh, someone's from Indonesia. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for joining.
So the holidays bring up a lot of emotions. I thought we could start off with that. I don't know if you have any feelings about that. You know, when you're married, it's different. And then when you get divorced, it feels different. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I had a very short-lived relationship when I was married, which was right before the holidays. We got married in September. By Christmas, our divorce, we were already almost ready filing for divorce. So I had a lot of bad memories that first
Mm.
year. Um, so we have a lot of followers today. So yeah, it's an emotional time, especially when a relationship is in turmoil, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because holidays are very festive and there's a lot of expectations surrounding the holidays. Like, it should be about, our greater power, but it's also about gifts and family and getting together. And if you've had an argument before you get together with family and you're trying to suppress all those feelings, there's just so many mixed emotions because you're supposed to be festive, so you try to hide it from your relatives
Mm-hmm.
when you're really struggling on the inside. At least that's
Yeah.
what
Mm-hmm.
I felt.
Yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
is. For me, it was kind of years of buildup with the Christmas. Like, the marriage was falling apart, and every Christmas for the last little bit was a bit of a struggle just to get through the holidays. And I think we're going to come back. I'm going to have you on in January, and we're going to talk about why the divorce rates are so high in January, February, March, really. Yeah. Yeah, but there is like an element when you're in a divorce, like the process. So say you got divorced in March or April last year, and this is your first Christmas or holiday without that traditional nuclear family, right? The couple or the couple with the kids. There can be a lot for me as well as others who've gone through it, as well as a child of divorce. There's a lot of loneliness that can come on with the holidays.
Loneliness and grief, right? Those feelings of
Mm-hmm.
grief, because a lot of times that's overlooked. The grief is overlooked in divorce, but
Mm-hmm.
it is a loss.
Mm-hmm.
And there are those deep emotions of grief. So again, it's that first holiday, all those first milestones after divorce that end up causing a struggle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is and what do you do as family expectations, right? Like, what if you don't have your kids and your family is your extended families that day and doing Christmas. I was also thinking about how a lot of mothers too, right? They have to juggle doing all Christmas by themselves, having the kids. I mean, it's just holidays are stressful in general, right? And then you add the element of if you're going through a difficult divorce on top of that, and then on top of co-parenting, and then another thing that comes up too with this is like you could even think about the financial restrictions, right?
That's true, because often you're on a budget and you
Mm-hmm.
may feel like you're not providing for the children. But the bottom line is that the most important thing that they need is love,
Mm-hmm.
right? And to know that you're there for them. And if you're co-parenting and you're sharing the holidays, and that happens to be a holiday that you don't have, or maybe you have late in the evening, or, if it's Christmas Day and you're getting them at 6 p.m., you can still celebrate and make it as festive as possible for the children,
Hmm.
so that they have good memories, because
Hmm.
it's all about the memories.
Yeah, I did a live yesterday with Shauna Warden, and we were talking about high conflict more. But it's true. I mean, my mother, it was the memories I had with my mother, not so much the gifts, because you can't always remember what your gifts were as a little kid, but you do remember those memories.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes Christmas so hard for those beginning, especially those acute divorcing people. Like, they can be very, very hard.
Yeah. Yeah, so one of the things that my parents did when we were young, although we were an intact family, is
Hmm.
they made dates with us, right? So, like on
Mm,
Christmas Day, we could do something special. Like if it was traditional to have a, a dinner at home, we would go out or do a picnic if the weather was accommodating. And it was just kind of fun, or
hmm.
make hot
Hmm.
chocolate and s'mores and things like that. And so those are again the memories that the children remember. They don't remember the gifts, another doll or another train set. It's
No.
just another toy, but those memories, those special bonds, a special conversation, or even a favorite chocolate that the kids love, that
Hmm.
that they're
Hmm.
like, "Oh my gosh, this is so special."
Well, let's talk about that then a bit, because one of another really good point is when you're going through a divorce at this time, or all through that separation agreement stuff, is that you can start your own rituals as well, you know?
Absolutely. That's the perfect time to start a ritual. And you can say, this is just between you and me. This is, or you and the extended,
Hmm.
if there's two or more children, this is our special treat, and just hype it up and make it so exciting for them that they're looking forward to the next year with just you guys.
Yeah,
You,
like you could do different ornaments. You could even say, like, if you have them Christmas Eve to Christmas morning, you can do it like go to the movies. Like my mom and I sometimes we went on Christmas Eve to the movies because I don't know why, but she just said, let's just go have a nice dinner. And then we went to the movies, right? You can kind of do your own and thing, and that it brings memories into the family as well.
how fun is that? Yeah. And plus the smell of popcorn, that
Oh,
the extra sense added in there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have,
Sounds like
sorry,
it's
go
very
ahead.
nostalgic for you.
Yeah, yeah, it does. I bringing the memories are all coming back because it is becoming the holiday season, and I did come from a high conflict parent divorce, so I just want to mention that one of the best gifts you can give your kids is no fighting in front of them,
Yeah.
right? Because it can be it's not a good memory for them, or so it's best if you just try to be be mindful of that, especially during the holidays, because emotions get heightened during this time, right?
Yeah, definitely. And you were talking earlier about rituals. Another thing is so important is self-care for the parent, right?
Hmm.
And the children, really, which has to do with being special. But for the parent that's going through the divorce, that would be a great time to take a bubble bath, stoke a fire if you're in a cold environment. Um, do something that's all about you, get together with a bestie, and, uh, have a special memory with them as well. Or if you're not invited somewhere, go for a nice, beautiful walk and take in all the
Hmm.
senses, the smells of the season, or if it's snowing, that quietness that comes with that.
Hmm.
So,
That's a good
yeah.
tip. I also want to mention, I don't know if you ever felt like this, but sometimes there's a lot of people that have Christmas events, right, or holiday events, and they have to go either work related or family or friendships. And if you're going there the first time as a divorcing person or divorced person, you can kind of feel like the fifth or third wheel, right? You can kind of go
Hmm.
into these events, and I want to just mention that this is also because I'm a thanatologist as well, which is grief. This is also widows as well, and widowers, that they can kind of
Yes,
feel that you go to these events and everybody is coupled up because that's society, right? We all and you're going in there for the first time by yourself, and you can kind of feel, you know, that can be really triggering for some people, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. And, as in our society, we are of couples, there's no stigma of being alone. And that, takes time to get used to. If you need some counseling to get through that, or working with a coach to help embrace your singleness, that's a great
Hmm.
opportunity, a great time to do that. I always like to think, Christmas leads into New Year, new you, new you, new year, new you. It's a great opportunity to embrace yourself and embrace your singleness.
Yeah, that's empowerment, right?
Yes,
Right.
definitely.
And
Hmm.
rediscovering who you are and what you may have lost, right? Because sometimes some of these marriages you kind of lost yourself, and so when you divorce, you start rebuilding who you are, who you once were, and who you want to be, right?
Do you want? It's a perfect opportunity to rewrite the script, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is
The vision is endless, because you can just be whoever you are, whoever you want to be, and it's a fresh start.
mhm.
If you look at it that way, it's all about perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. And we want them to also lean into the pain when they feel it, right? That's why, you have those moments. I did it. I was walking in the park with my dog. That's when I, you know, would sometimes release and stuff because I have the kids, right? But, you want them to release and then rebuild, right? So you can do the both at the same time. People often say you can't experience grief and joy, but you can. It just comes and goes, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Do you have anything else, like any other tips that we need to talk about for the holiday season and those who are exploring even divorce or going through divorce?
On my website, I have two resources. One is Divorce with Dignity, and the other one is going through grief through the holidays. Or you can just drop me an email or in the chat, and I'll be happy to send that to you with your email address. It's a great resource on how to function through the holidays while going through grief.
Yeah, one of my tips would be to plan things out,
Hmm.
try to plan. If you have children, you don't have them on a certain part of the holiday, then try to at least plan stuff for yourself. Either friends coffee or meeting with family, or some can travel, right? I mean, it depending, right? So I would try to plan something, because
Hmm.
I want you to realize that you're not alone. A lot of times in divorce, sometimes we can feel very alone, and that can make us go inward. And so the more support we have, the better we'll get through it. It is quite hard on a parent when they're used to having your children the whole time at Christmas, to just have that kind of, now you have to share, and it's kind of can be difficult, but it can work, and you can do it. It just takes time to adjust to that new type of holiday schedule and the stress of all of it, right? Like we
Hmm.
had talked about. So,
It's a good time to find community as well,
mhm,
like reach out to some of the Facebook groups, like, single moms
mhm,
going through the holidays and things like that. And then you find a sense of community. I see it all the time in Facebook groups where, like, I need a new bestie, or I need someone
mhm,
who's going through the same situation, and just having that community and being able to express to yourself your feelings to someone that really understands or is going through the
mhm.
same thing. The only word of caution there is, don't go down the rabbit hole
Yeah,
and get yourself, in a worse state than you may have been already. So.
yeah. That's the only thing that's concerning sometimes with the Facebook groups, which are so many of them. But um, depending, as you said, you can go down that rabbit hole, and
Mhm.
it's really hard already, divorce. And so, you just want to be mindful of who your peers are, right? Like, you want to make sure that you're picking supportive peers, but also empowering peers, right? That,
Exactly. That's where
yeah.
it's important to identify those two traits and set your boundaries. And if you get matched up with someone who's not embracing that, say, you know what, let's pick up after the holidays, and or just block them, or
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm. I had a
if they take
friend,
energy.
yeah, I had a friend that we had met at one of those workshops in person, and I I was processing getting through it, but 5 years later, she would come over and it would still be the heaviness, and, and,
Mm-hmm.
and even though I had some heaviness still to deal with, I didn't want to always talk about that anymore. So don't let them drag you down. That's just a word of caution that we both have.
Yeah, and that also shares the thought that everyone goes through the grief cycle, in their own pace, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm,
even though that you're trying to lift yourself up, you have to extend some grace too and say,
mhm,
you know what, let's get together January 15th, a hypothetical date, and like talk about it over coffee or
mhm,
something. But don't
mhm.
let that day be spoiled for you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It is really important to try to have, especially when the holidays, everything can be triggering for some. I mean, there's a lot of nostalgia that you think about when you first got married, and then, what happened, and we all process that, right? Because that's, none of us get married to get divorced. So,
that's
um,
so true. That's
yeah.
so true.
But with the right type of support systems, you can really get through it. So,
Yeah. And that's why you and I do what we do, because we have a passion for that. We have passion for empowering women and men and
mhm.
everyone in that space going
Yeah,
through
to
that
know that
divorce.
and like you as well, I didn't know that any support, like I didn't know the support systems I needed, right? Like I knew some, but I didn't know. And we've gotten better to help support divorcing people, because there's a lot of, we started off this conversation, there's a lot of grief that happens in divorce. And even if you left the marriage, there can still be elements of grief, different for everybody, right?
Absolutely. I know for myself, if I had gotten support early on, after I left my ex, I would not have made the same decisions in the future that I had made without if I
Hmm.
had gotten that support. I'm very confident of that, because I never allowed myself to heal. I buried a lot. And so
Hmm.
I look for that in my clients too, that haven't resolved their divorce, because you end up making the same
Hmm.
mistakes over and over again,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah,
So important to find help.
yeah. So, any other last tip before we go, or anything to wrap it up before we wish everybody a happy holiday and season? And
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Everybody have a happy holiday and keep the reason for the season in mind, and stay well, take care of yourself, practice those exercises that we talked about, self-care, and establishing a new ritual,
yes,
and keep optimistic, because there'll be another day the next morning.
yeah, good way to finish, right? A day at a time. If you're struggling, a day at a time, and get support. And
Absolutely.
if anyone has questions, put them in comment. Otherwise, we're going to wrap up. And Anastasia, do you want to just give your website? Just put it out there one more time.
Yes, www the Seraphim SERAPHIM lifecoach.com, all one word.
All right. Thank you, everybody, and thanks, Anastasia. And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Same
Okay.
to you, Karen. Have a good day.
Bye bye.